Hi guys, so today we are filling Form I-129F. My husband and I did fill this form on our own without having to pay anybody to do it for us. So let's dive into it. So please ensure the expiry date is valid before you start filling your form. This one expires 2027, so yeah, it's still valid. And the first part is showing it's for USCIS only. You do not need to do anything on that part. It's for USCIS to fill. So part one says start here, type or print in black ink. Part one information about you. Question number one, alien registration number. So if you are a US citizen, you likely do not have an alien registration number, so you skip that part. Question number two says USCIS online account number. If it's your first time filing anything with USCIS, you may not also likely have a USCIS online account number, so you skip it. But I see people say, oh, type NA in that space. I did not type all those things. And yeah, it doesn't matter if you type or not. Question number three says US Social Security number. You type your US Social Security number in that space. Question number four says select one box below to indicate the classification you're requesting for your beneficiary. We're filling this form for K-1 visa applicants. So I tick 4A and 4B does not apply to us. 5 does not apply to us before because we already answered 4A. So question number 6A, 6B, and 6C is asking for your full name, the way it appears on your passport. Please, this form is for the petitioner to fill. So we wrote the family name first, the given name, and the middle name in the space 6A to 6C. Okay? Question number 7 is asking for other names. It says, provide all other names you have ever used, including aliases, maiden name, and nicknames. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8. So, my petitioner, who is my husband, currently do not have any other name he has used in the past. So we skip 7A and 7C. Like I said, you are allowed to skip those spaces. You can choose to write NA in those sections. You can still not write anything. So number 8A is asking for your mailing address. That's where you live, where USCIS would be sending your approved petition to. And I skip 8A, it did not apply to us. 8B, I wrote our address. 8C does not apply to us because we don't live in any of these apartments and all that. So I just wrote our city in the space 8 provided for city or town. 8E is request for your state where you live in. So you click on the drop down and search for the state where you are currently living. Sometimes when you click on this, it does not allow you to, so you can skip it and then write it out when you print it out in a black pen. Okay. 8F, question number 8F says is asking for your zip code, so I type our zip code. 8G and 8H doesn't apply to us, so I skip it. 8I, the country where you live is United States. Obviously, it's a citizen, someone who lives in the United States that is filing I-129F. 8J is your current mailing address. Says, is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? It's a yes for us. And if it is a no for you, please, if you answer number 9A to 9H. So now it's saying part one information about you and it's requesting for your address history. Provide your physical addresses for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your current address first. If it's different from your mailing address in item numbers 8A to 8I. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8 additional information. So I wrote down our physical address, which is the same as our mailing address. I wrote everything down here and wrote the dates we've been living there. Okay. Okay. So let's see again. It's 9A, our address. 9D, You select the states where you are living. Again, on that drop down, you click it. Always click the arrow to open up. Like I said, sometimes you can't, it doesn't work. So just let it be. Type it with your hands. Zip code 9E, question 9H, your country, you write it. The dates from, that's the date you've been living in this particular address. And 10B is asking the date you left this address. So we are still staying there. So I wrote present, 10B. Then question number 11, physical address 2, because we do not have physical address 2, we skip that part. We are skipping 11A to 12B entirely because it does not apply to us. If you do have a second address, you write it there. But we skip that part, okay? Question number 13 is asking for your employment history. It says provide your employment history for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your current employment first. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8, additional information. So employer 1, question number 13, full name of employer, wrote the name of the employer. 14A, street name, street number and name, I wrote it. This 14C, city or town, I wrote it. 14B doesn't apply to us, that's why I skip it. 14D is asking for the state where your employer is. So I still click on the drop down on that arrow and selected the state and the zip code, and 14F and 14G does not apply to us, so I skip it. Question number 14H asks for the country of your employer. I wrote United States. Question number 15 is asking for your occupation. I wrote the occupation. 16A, employment start date. That's when you started working in this particular company. And 16B is asking for when you stop working. My husband is still working there, so he wrote present. So employer 2, he doesn't have another employer because he's been working there since 2018, which is more than 5 years. So employer 2 does not apply to us. So we skip all these 17 to 19, and also skip 20A and 20B and come to question number 21, which says other information. Your sex, you select your sex. 22, date of birth, we wrote the date of birth. Marital status, single, married, divorced, or widowed. Obviously, a married person cannot file Form I-129F, so you click the one that is yours. Yep. And 24 is asking for city, town, village of birth. I wrote it. 25, province or state of birth. I wrote it. 26, country of birth. No. Country of birth. Oh, I don't know. 1 minute. Don't know why this form is going down. United States. Oh, I think I'm in another place. Sorry. So question number 26 is asking for country of birth. I wrote United States. Question number 27 is asking for parent information. So I start by writing the father first. That's the petitioner's dad. I wrote his last name first, his given name, and his middle name from 27A to 27C. 28 is asking for his date of birth. I starting from the month, the day, and the year. I wrote it. And 29, I selected his sex, which is a male, because I'm starting by writing the father's details first. 30A is asking for his country of birth, which is the United States. 31A is asking for his city, town, and village of residence. I also type that. Country of residence, 31B, United States. And 32A is asking for parent two information. That's the name of your mom. That's the petitioner's mother. I started by writing the family name. 32B, the given name. 32C, middle name. She doesn't have a middle name, so I skip that. Some people do not have a middle name. You skip that part entirely. 33 is asking for her date of birth. So I'll say her date of birth is 02/03/1965. Her sex, female. Her country of birth, United States. City, town, village of residence. Question number 36B is asking for country of residence. And then 37 is a question for the petitioner, which says, have you ever previously been married? It's a no for my petitioner. And the next question said, if you answered yes to item number 37, provide the names of each spouse and the dates that each prior marriage ended in item number 38A to 39. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in part 8 additional information. So because I actually selected no in question number 37, so this one does not apply to us, so I'm going to skip it. If you tick yes, you have to write the name of your spouse in spaces 38A to 39. And if you do not have enough space to do that, maybe let's say you married two persons and you needed two spaces to write the second person's details. In that space provided the part 8 additional information, you write it there. Okay. So the next question is your citizenship information. You are a U.S. citizen through the select one box. Birth in the United States. 40B naturalization. 40C U.S. citizen parent. 41 have you obtained certificate of naturalization? So it's 40A for us, for my petitioner. So the next question is, if you answered yes to item number 41, complete item number 42A to 42C. So 42A and 42C does not apply to us, so I skip it entirely because we did not answer yes to 41, okay? So additional information continues. Is for the petitioner, 43, question number 43 says, have you ever filed Form I-129F for any other beneficiary? Is a no for my petitioner. And the next question says, if you answered yes to item number 43, provide the responses to item number 44 to 46 for each previous beneficiary. If you need to provide information for more than one beneficiary, use the space provided in Part 8 additional information. So you see we answered a no, so 44 to 46 and to even 47 does not apply to us. So I skip that. I did not write anything in that space. So the next question we'll be answering is question number 48, which says, do you have any children under 18 years of age? Is a no for my petitioner. And the next question says, if you answered yes to item number 48, provide the ages for your children under 18 years of age in item number 49A to 49B. So because we answered no in 48, 49A and 49B does not apply to us. I skip it too. The next question says, provide all U.S. states and foreign countries in which you have resided since your 18th birthday. Residence 1. You click on question number 50A. You select the states you've lived in. So let's say, okay, I selected these states. And then 50B, I wrote the country. And then we go over to the next question, which is 51A and 51B. So if you have another second residence you've lived in, you also do this, write the same thing you did in 50A, okay, and 50B. So this doesn't apply to us. I also skip it. Part 2, information about your beneficiary. Question number 1A is your beneficiary's details. So you'll be typing down your beneficiary's details in this box provided. So I was the beneficiary in this case. So I'll start by writing my last name and then my middle name, my given name and then my middle name. In boxes, question number 1A to 1C. Question number 2 is asking for my A number. That's the A number of the beneficiary. I haven't been to the United States before, so I do not have an A number. I skip it. US Social Security number. I haven't been to the US before, so I do not have a Social Security number, so I skip it. If you do have, please write your own details there. Question number 4 is asking for the beneficiary's date of birth, starting from the month. And the sex of your beneficiary, you selected in question number 5. Marital status of your beneficiary, I'm single, I selected single. And question number 7 is asking for the city, town, village of birth of your beneficiary. I was born in Calabar. Country of birth, I was born in Nigeria. And question number 9 is asking for country of citizenship or nationality. It's Nigeria for me, so I write my country. So the next question is other names used. Provide all other names you have ever used, including aliases, maiden name, and nicknames. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in part 8. I was a beneficiary here. I never had any other name, so I skipped 10A to 10C. And then in part 2 is asking for information about your beneficiary. Continued. So it's asking for the mailing address of your beneficiary. So this was my mailing address as at when we filed this form. And 11B, I wrote my address and the street number. 11D, I wrote the city or town where I lived. 11E and 11G does not apply to me, so I skip it. 11H is my postal code. 11I is the country where I lived when we were filing this form. When we were filling the form, okay? So the next question is asking for your beneficiary's address history. Provide your beneficiary's physical addresses for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your beneficiary's current address first if it's different from the mailing address. So yeah, I repeated my address there and wrote the 12A, I wrote my same address where I have, and 12C, the city, 12H, the country where I was living when my husband was filing this form, 12G, my postal code, and the date where I started living there, and then the date where I left. But because I didn't leave as at when my husband was filling this form, I wrote present. So the next question is question number 14A, beneficiary's physical address too. So I'm going to write, we are asked to write a 5 years address history. The first one it wasn't up to 5 years because I started living there in 2023. That was when I moved to the United Kingdom. So I have to write the address where I lived before I moved to that address. So 14A, I wrote my street name and street number, my city and town where I lived in 14C. I skipped these other ones, 14D to 14H, and came to 14H and wrote my country where I was living. And 15A, I wrote the date where I started living there, and 15B, when I left there. So that's over 5 years. If yours it's not over 5 years and you do not have enough space, please use section part 8 additional information to complete that. So the next question is your beneficiary's employment history. It says provide your employment history for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your current employment first. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in part 8 additional information. So beneficiary's employer. So number 16, question number 16, I wrote the name of my employer. 17A, I wrote the address. And 17C, I wrote the city. In 17G, I wrote the postal code. 17H, I wrote the country. 18, I wrote my occupation. 19A, I wrote my own employment start dates when I started working there. And 19B, I wrote when I left. I was currently working there when my husband was filing this petition for me. And part two is asking for information about your beneficiary continues. So because that where I was working there wasn't up to 5 years, I had to write my second employer year. So question number 20, I wrote the name of my employer. 21A, I wrote the address. 21C, I wrote the city or town. And 21, I skipped 21D to 21G because I did not know the postal code. I don't think we had a postal code there. So 21H, I wrote the country where my company is located. And 22, I wrote my occupation. 23A, employment started with when I started working there, employment ended when I left there. That's 23B. So the next question is information about your beneficiary's parents continue. So parents number one, into question number 24A, I wrote my dad's name. 24B, his middle name. 24C, his given name. 24C, his middle name. And people ask question, oh, what if my parents are late? Is actually not alive anymore. It doesn't matter. Write their details here, okay? So 25, date of birth, I wrote my dad's date of birth. 26, I selected his sex, male. 27 is asking for his country of birth, Nigeria. I wrote it there. City, town, and village of his residence. I wrote where he's currently living. His country of residence, 28B. So the next question is 29A, parent two information. So that's your mom's details, okay? Beneficiary's mom's details. 29A, I wrote the family name first, the given name, and the middle name. And 30 is asking for her date of birth. So say her date of birth is and 31. I selected her sex. 32, country of birth where she lives. 33A, city, town, and village of her residence. 33B, country of her residence. That's your parental information of your beneficiary. Remember. So 34 is asking her, the next question is, has your beneficiary ever been previously married? Is a no for my case. So the next question says, if you answered yes to item number 34, provide the names of each prior spouse and the dates each prior marriage ended in item numbers 35A to 36. And if you need to provide information for more than one spouse, use the space provided in part 8, additional information. So because I take a no in this, I actually did skip 35A to 36 and came down to question number 37. It says, has your beneficiary ever been in the United States? I haven't. I take no. If your beneficiary is currently in the United States, complete 38A to 38H. So because I wasn't in the United States, I did not complete 38A to 38H. So I came down to question number 39, which says, does your beneficiary have any children? It's a no for me. The next question says, if you answered yes to item number 39, provide the following information about each child. If you need to provide information for more than one child, use the space provided in part 8, additional information. So because I answered no in 39, I am not answering children of beneficiary. That's question number 40A to 43. I skip that part entirely. It does not apply to me. If this child does not reside with your beneficiary, provide the child's physical address. So I'm also going to skip 48, 44A to 44H. Okay? But if you have a child, you write it there. You write their details down. Okay? So the next question, in question number 45A, says address in the United States where your beneficiary intends to live. Obviously, I'm going to be living with my husband when I moved to the United States. So I'm going to write my husband's address there. That's the petitioner's address. I'm going to be living with my petitioner when I move to the United States. And you is going to do the same thing, isn't it? So city and town, 45C. And 45D is the state. You select the states. And the zip code. And it's asking for daytime phone number. So I'm going to write the petitioner's phone number there. Your beneficiary's physical address abroad. Question number 47A. So I'm still going to write my physical address where I live. 47C. The city or town and the country of your beneficiary. So I was living in the United Kingdom when we were filling this form. And my own phone number. So the next question is asking for your beneficiary's name and address in his or her native alphabet. I do not have any name in my native alphabet. Okay, so I skip 49A to 50B. 49A to 50A, I skip that entirely. I do not have any name and address in my native alphabet. And I come down to this part 2 information about beneficiary. Is your fiancé related to you? And I select no, your fiancé is not related to you. 52 says provide the nature and degree of relationship, for example, third cousin or maternal uncle. So I did not say yes. I skip question number 52. Question number 53 asks, have you and your fiancé met in person during the 2 years immediately before filing this petition? Is a yes for us. Please remember you're supposed to meet your fiancé or the person you're filing this form for at least once in the 2 years of filing this petition. So the next question is, if you answered yes to item number 53, describe the circumstances to which, 1 minute. If you answered yes to item number 53, describe the circumstances of your in-person meeting in item number 54. Attach evidence to demonstrate that you were in each other's physical presence during the required 2 year. If you answer no, explain your reasons for requesting an exemption from the in-person meeting requirement in item number 54 and provide evidence that you should be exempt from this requirement. Refer to part 2, item number 53 to 54 of the specific instructions section of the instructions for additional information about the requirements to meet. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in part 8, additional information. So let me write what my petitioner wrote in question number 54. So, question number part three, other information continues multiple filer waiver request information. So it says refer to part three, types of waivers in the specific instructions section of the instructions for an explanation of the filing waiver. So the 5A says indicate which one of the following waivers you are requesting. Multiple filer, no permanent restraining orders or convictions for a specified offense, general waiver. Multiple filer, prior permanent restraining orders or criminal conviction for specified offense, extraordinary circumstances, waiver. 5C, multiple filer, prior permanent restraining order for criminal convictions for specified offense resulting from domestic violence, mandatory waiver. 5D says not applicable. Beneficiary is my spouse or I am not a multiple filer, so we choose 5D. So part 4 is asking for the biographic information of the petitioner. So I choose his biographic information there, and then come to question number 3 and choose feet. How many feet are you? Choose his feet is inches, and 4 is asking for weight or pounds. Pounds. Eye color, you select your eye color. Hair color, select your hair color. Question number 6. So part 5, petitioner's contact information. Provide your daytime telephone number. So route number 1, telephone number 1 and 2, and then petitioner's email address in question number 3. And the next question is asking for petitioner signature. So you're going to sign when you print this out, okay? And date of signature, you write the date in the space provided. 02/03/2026. And then you go over to the next question. Part 6 is asking for interpreter's contact information. So we did not use an interpreter, so we did not write anything in that space. But like I said, people say they write NA in those spaces. We left those spaces. You can choose to write NA in those spaces. And the next question is asking for interpreter's contact information. So since we did not have use an interpreter, we skip those spaces. An interpreter certification and signature, we skip those spaces. Part 7 is asking contact information, declaration, and signature of the person preparing this petition, if other than the petitioner. So it's the petitioner that was filling this form, so we do not have a preparer. We skip all that space for preparer. Okay? So part 7 says contact information, declaration, signature of the person preparing this petition. We skip it because we did not use a preparer for that, for filing our form. Part 8, additional information. So this is where you're coming to write all those information you could not include when you were filling the form, okay? And then let's say if it says if you need extra space to provide any additional information within this petition, use the space below. If you need more space than what is provided, you may make copies of this page to complete and file with this petition or attach separate sheets of paper. Type or print your name and a number, if any, at the top of each sheet. Indicate page number, part number, and item number to which your answers refers and sign. So first thing you're going to do is write your name, your given name, your middle name. If you have an A number, you write. And then if, let's say, you were answering a question that was in page number 8, you write the page number here in 3A. And then check for the parts, okay? If the part is showing part A, part number, you write the part number in 3B. Item number, you write it in 3C, okay? And then come to 3D and answer the question you wanted to answer in those spaces. So same thing applicable